Hello and welcome. This is Direct Talk. On today's session, we are going to discuss the U.S. atrocity determinations in Ethiopia. Last week, the U.S. State Department announced that it determines the Ethiopian forces, Eritrean forces, as well as Amhara regional forces have committed crime against humanity, including murder, rape, and killing of innocent civilians in the war on Tigray. And it also stated that all warring parties to the conflict have committed war crimes. For more on this, I'm joined by a law expert, Dr. Barnabas, to share us his view on the U.S. State Department atrocity determinations in Ethiopia. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First, let's start with your take. What's your take on the reports?
Well, what I have taken from Antony Blinken's determination is that he has the facts in his hand, and he has taken these facts or related it with international law, and he's telling us that the facts are there, the law is there, and that crimes against humanity, war crimes, and ethnic cleansing have been committed in Tigray. And with regard to this, he has already dictated that the NDF, the Eritrean forces, and the Amhara militia forces, including the FANO, have been involved in this kind of atrocities that have been committed against the people of Tigray. So what I have seen from this declaration of Antony Blinken is that in 2020 has already stated that ethnic cleansing have been committed in Western Tigray by the Amhara forces. And now, probably after a year and a half, he is still confirming that these atrocities have been expanded and that crimes against humanity, war crimes, and ethnic cleansing have been committed in this country, particularly in Tigray. And he has the facts in his hand. And this confirmation to the preliminary report that was given on September by the International Commission of Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia, that was formed by the Human Rights Council of the United Nations. So I will take this determination of Antony Blinken to be a very substantial declaration on the part of the State Department of the United States.
Following the report, the Republican on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jim Rich, said the report was belated and that the Biden administration could have done a lot to bring perpetrators to justice. And how do you analyze U.S. government and international community response to the crimes committed during the war on Tigray?
Of course, even they are saying that it's belated, meaning that it has been delayed, and that the United States government could have done more than what it has already declared by Antony Blinken. That's right. But still, I will consider it as a confirmation on the part of the U.S. government that the U.S. government is following up this situation seriously, that the Congress or Congress members, particularly like Jim Risch and Brad Sherman, are following the situation in Tigray, and that these people will not stop short of determining justice and accountability in Tigray. That's how we have understand it.
So, but many experts accuse the U.S. that the United States is not following the crimes in Tigray seriously, and that the U.S. is using designation of international crimes, including genocide, as leverage to pursue diplomatic gains in the region.
Well, look, I mean, the question of genocide comes when? Question of genocide comes after collect or investigating the situation on the ground, meaning after collecting the necessary circumstantial issues that's demanded from the ground, after having collected the information from the victims themselves, and after having done all this and documented all these evidences, then the situation has to go to the court of law. It's the court of law that determines whether a certain incident or a certain act against humanity, acts against humanity or crimes against humanity, war crime or ethnic cleansing also encompasses genocide. So the law has to determine it. But now what we are seeing is the facts already at hand are indicating that war crimes are committed, crimes against humanity are committed, ethnic cleansing are committed. Then if these are committed, you have to substantiate it by what? By circumstantial evidence. Not only that, you have also to go with the due process of law. With the due process of law means what? Due investigation has to be done by an impartial body, by an impartial body like the International Commission of Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia. It has to be done by an impartial body. And this impartial body has to investigate on the ground. But as we know it, the ICHRE has not been allowed to enter Ethiopia and thereby go to Tigray so as to investigate the crimes that have been committed all over of Tigray. If this is not done, and if this committee is not in a position to give its final report based on the facts on the ground and what have you, then it becomes what? There will be a problem in handling this issue and in handling the due process of law. So investigation has to be done. Investigation is mandatory. Investigation on the ground is mandatory. I mean, the crimes that have been committed have to be documented by an impartial body. Then after this, if the committee, or for that matter, the International Commission of Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia determines that these acts have been committed by the perpetrators and what have you, and if this goes to the actual prosecution process and thereby to the due process of law, then genocide will be decided by the courts themselves. It is the court that decides genocide has been committed, not the investigators for that matter, not the prosecutor for that matter. It is the court of law. It is the judge that determine genocide has been committed. But with regard to the other crimes, the war crime, the crimes against humanity, and the ethnicity, already the facts are already at hand. And because of this, officials like Antonio Blinken are telling the whole world that these crimes have been committed. With regard to genocide, it has to wait. It has to wait what? To the result of the due process of law that we are discussing now. Investigation has to be done. Prosecution has to go, and thereby the process of law has to be done by judges and what have you. Then it will be determined by the judges whether genocide has been committed in Tigray or not.
The United Nations Human Rights Council had discussed the case of Ethiopia last week, and it also heard a briefing from the International Commission of Human Rights Experts in Ethiopia. The commission is expected to present its final report on the coming September. What are our expectations from the final reports?
Well, look, the ICHRE has not been allowed to enter Ethiopia and thereby undertake its investigation either in Tigray or in other parts of the country. And as you know it, the main objective of this body is to investigate the crimes that have been basically committed in Tigray. Even though areas like Oromia, Benishangul, and what have you could also be included in this kind of investigation and what have you. But the Ethiopian government is taking its own measure for that matter as a policy that is not going to allow this committee to enter the country and thereby make the investigation. This is a blunder that we are visualizing in front of the international committee and what have you. So if this continues to be the case, then this committee is not going to enter Tigray. Then it's not going to finalize its report based on the facts or on the ground and what have you. If that is the case, then the result or the report of this committee will be what? Short of what? Short of the evidence that could be collected from the surroundings, from the crimes that have been, the places where the crimes have been committed and what have you. Otherwise, it may give its report. But one thing that I am probably confident with this body is, by now, facts are not hidden. Even the facts that have been committed in Debre Abai, Mariam Dengalat, Aksum, and where have we recently in Adwa, Mariam Showito, Dabagarima, and all the areas where crimes have been committed and what have you, these facts are not hidden. Thanks to technology, all these facts are way. Again, even this committee, this International Commission of Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia, is getting all these documents. By what? By technology, thanks to technology. So I hope, based on these facts that it gets with the help of technology and what have you, it will give its final report based on these facts. And if that's the case, then the perpetrators that have been involved in this kind of crime will not be in a position to work with impunity for the future. And I hope with the pressure that the international community could make on the Human Rights Commission and what have you, so as to to get involved in Ethiopia and thereby enter to the areas where crimes have been committed and what have you, then we hope that this body will enter into the country before September and thereby collect all the necessary evidence and thereby document it, and that report may probably include all this situation. Do you get me? So if that's the case, the report will be satisfactory. But short of that, we may probably see that the ICHREE will give its final report based on the facts that it gets from the internet and what have you. From the social media, from the internet and what have you. Because as you know it, all the facts that have been hidden are still being collected by this body due to the fact that it has already called to everybody around and what have you, that they can send their documents through the means that they have, meaning through the internet or through emails, from through what kind of communication that we have in the social media and what have you. And if that's the case, then probably its documentation may be satisfactory. So that's how I expect this body will render its report and what have you.
Okay. Let's discuss the Ethiopian National Transitional Justice Framework. Do you think such government-promoted entity can seek truth and find reconciliation as well as heal the victims of the war? And what does its track record tell us?
Look, the Ethiopian National Transitional Justice Framework that has been formed by the Ethiopian government, I don't think it is an impartial body. And I don't think it's also inclusive and comprehensive, for that matter. Take the victims. The victims are basically in Tigray. And the victims in Tigray have not sent their own representatives to this body, to this framework. No one is involved in this national framework or national transitional justice framework from the areas where these acts of crimes against humanity and what have you have been committed. So if that's the case, what do you say? That war is not partial. It's not impartial. It's not inclusive. It doesn't include Tigray, for that matter. It doesn't include the victims of Tigray or representatives of the victims of Tigray. And it's not based on this situation that this framework has been established. Then if that is the case, you see from the very beginning of its establishment that it is defective. You get me? So if that's the case, then I don't think it will have that much effective result in the way that it is proceeding and whatever.
And Tigrayans living in different parts of the region say they are still at risk of living atrocities. For example, in a report by Tigray television this week, residents of Chela told reporters that they are in fear of atrocities that could be committed by Eritrean forces. What do you think should be the role of the US and the international community in general to protect the people from further atrocities?
Well, look, there is a blunder in this kind of situation. The Ethiopian government and the TPLF have signed the Pretoria Agreement, as you know it. And that agreement dictates what? That the federal government of Ethiopia will take responsibility of protecting the country, the whole country, including Tigray. And that no foreign force will be involved in this country from the time that this agreement was signed. But from the time that this agreement has been signed, which is probably now nearing to its fifth month and what have you, the Eritrean forces are still in Tigray. And during this time of their presence in Tigray, they are committing crimes. They have been committing crimes in Maram Shawito and Dabagarima here in Arua. They have been committing crimes in Adiro. They have been committing in Adiawa. They have been committing crimes around Chela and what have you, in northern Aksum and what have you. And the Ethiopian government, the federal government of Ethiopia is nowhere. The Ethiopian federal government armed forces is not protecting the people of Tigray, while our people are being killed by the Eritrean defense forces. And this indicates what? That the Pretoria Agreement has been respected duly. The Ethiopian government is not fulfilling its duty to protect the citizens of Ethiopia from foreign forces that are killing them. Not only that, even internally here in the southern part of Tigray, in Alamata, in Koram, and what have you, in Salamt and what have you, the Amara forces and Fano are killing our people continuously. They are killing our people, they are looting our property, and they are just telling these people, the people that are living there, that they should change their ethnic identity to be Amaras and what have you. And the Ethiopian government is just keeping quiet. Keeping quiet, I say keeping quiet. What does this mean? Does this mean that the Pretoria Agreement is being implemented duly or fairly according to the Constitution of Ethiopia? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. There are clear lapses here. And I don't think the Ethiopian government doesn't have the capacity to do that. It can do it. It can protect the people of Tigray. But I don't know why it's not interested to protect the people. But our people are still being killed. Even now, while we are discussing, still our people are being persecuted everywhere in the places that I am mentioning to you.
And finally, how do you analyze efforts by Tigrayans to bring all these perpetrators to justice, as well as what do you think should be done by the Tigray interim administration for justice not to be compromised?
Well, look, with regard to the transitional administration of Tigray, I don't think we can say something tangible at this period. I mean, it's just a nascent institution or a nascent transitional administration that's being formed. It's being formed. It's not yet. It has not already started functioning properly and what has, it. Still, it has not formed its branches everywhere in Tigray. You get me? Still, the southern part of Tigray, Salamt and Adiabo and western Tigray are still under enemies. And these areas have to be returned to Tigray. They are part and parcel of the Tigray regional state, and they have to come back. And the administration of Tigray have to be what? To be implemented in these areas too. I expect the transitional administration to do all this, but with relation to the transitional justice process and what have you, what I actually expect from the transitional administration and of course from the people of Tigray is what? The transitional administration has still to insist that justice and accountability should go side by side. Unless and otherwise the people of Tigray get justice, and unless and otherwise the perpetrators of these crimes that have been committed in this region are addressed duly, there won't be peace in Ethiopia. I'm not saying in Tigray. There won't be peace in Ethiopia. Ethiopia cannot get peace unless and otherwise the people of Tigray are vindicated because of these kinds of crimes that have been committed against them. So the transitional administration has to work for this. It has to organize its people. It has to organize, experts on this and what have you. And the commission that has been formed so as to investigate the crimes that have been committed in Tigray have to be consolidated. And it has also to air its views to the international community, to the International Commission of Human Rights Experts in Ethiopia and what have you, so that this body could enter Tigray and thereby investigate what has been committed in this region and what have you. Beyond that, I expect Tigrayans here, the intellectual and the experts that are, basically involved in this kind of investigation and what have you, that the situation of Tigray cannot be forgotten. Perpetrators of the genocide or probably the war crimes, crimes against humanity and ethnic cleansing in Tigray should not be allowed to walk with impunity. So Tigrayans have to work for this. Not now, tomorrow, day after tomorrow and whatever. We have to work for this. We have to move for this. All of us. It's our duty. It's our problem. We cannot stop unless and otherwise the people of Tigray get justice. We cannot stop. When we will not stop, not only us, even our children will not stop unless and otherwise the people of Tigray get the vindication that they deserve because of this act and whatever. Beyond that, I would like to tell to the diaspora, which is free and which has been acting in a way that it has to act up to now, that the game is not over, that the issue of Tigray is not over, that the people of Tigray have not got what they deserve, and that they still have to fight in the way that they have been fighting, and that they have to tell the international community that Tigray has not got its justice. They have to tell, by the way, by the tactics that they are using, that they have been using up to now, and what have you, and strengthen their activities so that the people of Tigray could get justice. And that's all what I would like to say to the Tigrayans and what have you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you.